Yeah, I wanted to do a little bit of an announcement here with my buddy Kadoran, who I'm about to bring into the call, and we're going to talk about the state of online Melee, as well as an event that he's kind of putting together. I think it's going to tell us a little bit about kind of what the future of potentially like online Melee, and I mean, obviously, I think the biggest news this week in terms of the Smash landscape was basically the Nintendo tournament guidelines kicking in, and I think it remains to be seen like the extent to which they'll actually apply to like existing events. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yo, what's up? Yo, hey chat, can you hear Kadoran? You're live. You're on television.
Hey,
damn, you sound
what
so
up?
good. What kind of
Toast
mic
chat?
Why do you sound so good?
I have a Yeti microphone.
Oh, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, and I guess we could just like turn it into a discussion a little bit. I mean, do you want to announce your event first, or did you want to chat about?
It's already announced. Like, I'm running the Co-Donation Charity Monthly.
Let me throw that up. You put a lot of thought into that, I assume.
It took me 5 minutes. It took me 5 minutes to think of something that's related to my brand, and I just thought it rolled off the tongue really well.
So yeah, I mean, the floor is yours. Like, my thoughts were this, right? There were, I don't want to like call specific people out, but I do feel like there was a lot of, so obviously the final coin box happened, final Melee coin box. I mean, I guess it remains to be seen what's going to happen with the ultimate side of things. Even them, I mean, they've got this crypto sponsor. They have over 300 entrants.
Nintendo, obviously, they like the crypto sponsors. That's what they're well known for.
It's been no secret in the community for quite a while that even if it's not crypto, even if it's literally anything, it's like pretty hard to get sponsors for your event that like Nintendo's kind of on board with.
Yeah, I mean, Ninja tried giving us money. Companies tried giving us money.
Companies getting on board and stuff like that. Even if it's not literally like a crypto company, I don't think that necessarily even changes anything. But anyway,
right.
I digress. Yeah, the final coin box happened, and like to me, yeah, it was kind of interesting. I saw that it got like 850 entrants for Melee. Yeah, it had a colossal entrant count, which I mean makes sense. It's kind of a send off, and I'm sure some people entered and then DQ'd, such as Zane. but anyway, it was.
It was like it speaks to like how much Melee online, like just how good the infrastructure is, just how accessible it is. Just like it is like a core part of the Melee community at this point.
I think so. And something that as far as I know, I was the first person, and maybe some of the people in my stream can either attest to this or tell me I'm full of shit. But in 2021, something I would pretty frequently say is maybe not frequently enough. Maybe I only said it a couple times, but I would frequently say like, you guys are going to miss this. and because we had this culture around like kind of the online Melee tournament and the whole concept of like pity subs and like there's this like online tournament, and then like you raid the winner, and then you have all these clips coming out where Moki, you go to Moki's stream and Moki's like fucking HBox, fucking plays like a piece of shit. You go to HBox's stream and HBox's like, he's so cracked, like he just play, oh my god, these Fox players, I can't keep up with these Fox players anymore. And like that whole like the ridiculous pop offs and the Sol, the player cam, Wizzy popping off in the player cam and Mango counter popping off, like I was kind of saying like this is an artifact of Melee, because at that point it was the peak of COVID, right? And so I think people were pretty doomer, and like they were like, people obviously missed offline Melee, and I think that was obviously very fair. Obviously offline's better, but I remember I made the point a couple of times where I was like, I think you guys are gonna this is gonna kind of go away one day, and I think you guys are gonna miss this shit, and yes. I think I'm validated in that, because there were a bunch of tweets and people posting and saying stuff where it was like, there's like no like prize pot. I saw this great image that hopefully maybe I can find it, but it was like all of the net play tournaments that fell by the wayside. I did see TNT on that.
Yes, it's the person that runs Only Noobs, Cadence.
Yes, yeah. Great tweet. Only Noobs, of course, still around, which is sick. But yeah, I mean, Coinbox, Salt Mine 2, East Coast Fridays actually even surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just shocked that there's no Rollback Rumble in there, but yeah, they got most of the major ones.
Rollback Rumble's a good one. Rollback Rumble's a good one for sure. As well as like even, on the West Coast we had Spudfest. And I know that Dusky, who's running Spudfest, I know he had, I don't think that was because of any kind of Slippy stuff. I think he had just IRL stuff kind of come up. But point is, this was like something I saw Slumlord, who used to, Slumlord ran Salt Mine, right? That was like an all chat thing?
I believe so. Salt Mine, all chat, something related to that.
Oh yeah, it must be, because he literally says so. Smash Twitter talking about being sad, no prize pod, net play tourneys makes me laugh. Because I asked top players for trivial things to help progress Salt Mine, hit sponsor KPIs, and 99% of y'all go smear told me net play was a joke to the community. I mean, you literally TO'd an online tournament series, so I'm sure you can speak to this.
I can sympathize.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could sympathize and speak in all positions, like both
As a top player and as a
TO.
Yeah, what do you think? What's your take?
There is an alternate world where, depending on how online was set up, as well as not just online of like how good the online is, but also like frankly the internet infrastructure in the US, where in Korea, Brood War Online is amazing because of the way how the internet infrastructure works in that country is significantly better.
That makes sense.
Compared to the US. Like the way how they do ASL qualifiers, for example, is entirely online.
And no one cares.
Because it's actually good.
Yeah.
Provided that you're in Korea, at least. If there was ever like, oh, you have to qualify for Genesis by playing like Coinbox style online qualifiers, like there would be a huge havoc of that. That's like a huge source of why a lot of people want to like delegitimize online, is because frankly it's just not really fit for cross-country net play. Because like even the final Coinbox, did you see S2J's stream title?
Oh no, I didn't see the stream title.
It was like 10,000 ping lag box where he got double eliminated by Hacks Money.
Dude,
I played Hacks Money before. That's, if there's a reason why I didn't enter very many coin boxes.
Yeah.
Because one time I matched up against Hacks Money where we had 110 ping between New York and SoCal. It was one of the worst experiences I've ever. By the way, I won that set. But that didn't mean I was happy.
Yeah. It's not even about winning or losing at that point.
And another thing was I remember like I would get mauled by Cody Schwab and winter semis, and I had a Drug Fox lesson later on where we pointed out like, the reason why you missed this fair edge guard on a side B is because you were 1 frame late. And that 1 frame late being not only by the fact that it's like 90 ping, but also audio delays and net play.
Yeah.
So I was off by 1 frame because it's online, and that resulted to like a stock reversal, couldn't kill him as easily. And had I landed that, I win that game and possibly the set.
Right.
And it's like there's so many like little things that adds up to be all like, this format sucks. Like online does not count. Like, and that's like during the pandemic, it didn't matter.
It was fun. Yeah.
It was all we had, that was kind of like the narrative. But there was always that stinking feeling of like, dude, this doesn't really count. Especially what really accentuated that problem was the fact that, again, it was cross country, right?
True.
And then when IRL came back, now that I was like, hey, now that we kind of have quote unquote real Melee back on the table, F online,
Yeah.
It'd be a lot easier if people took online seriously and it was legitimately considered for rankings. I'm pretty sure Zane's main reason why he never entered online tournaments after the pandemic era, is because he's bitter that his whole online reign just didn't count.
Yeah, him and Mango both, I would say, right? I mean, I feel like at least there was this kind of narrative with the whole Mango Zane tier thing. At least it was like a casual, obviously there was no ranking, there was no like official kind of way that celebrated them being clearly the 2 best, but at least in the community we kind of talked about it that way. But yeah, it was still kind of a bummer. And for those 2 in particular, like, because I remember I always tell Aiden whenever we talk about this sort of thing, like, I think Slippy Champion League was awesome. Obviously, like, it had its share of you can probably speak to this because I remember you played in it. That was when you beat Plup, right? That was SCL. Yeah. So you could probably speak to this, as a player. I mean, I'm sure it seemed incredibly stressful if you were a player, because you win or lose one set, it like completely shifts like where you are in the thing or whatever. But on the flip side, it was like fucking awesome for the community to watch. I remember it was like 50,000 viewers like every weekend, and it was just like, dude, this is like great for the spectatorship. I feel like Melee was really popping off from the viewership standpoint. And I don't know. I mean, it does suck, I think, for Zane and Mango, because I do think they feel like burned in a way. Like, obviously they don't want you don't want it to, like, you don't want online rankings to somehow supersede offline results, but at the same time it is a shame that they weren't celebrated like a little bit more.
It's a shame that we can't combine both. We can't have both of them count for like one like definitive rankings. Like, Cody entered like every single coin box. It's a shame that can't really count towards his #1 resume, right? As a spectator, it looked amazing, obviously, because spectator mode doesn't show the jitter, doesn't show the lag.
That's true too. Yeah,
you don't didn't show that. And if you like look at their personal stream, if the connection was bad, like for instance at the final coin box, you tune into SJ stream, he was swearing like a mad sailor, like especially when he had to fight Hax Money. I actually don't really know that, but
Hax just teleport across the screen.
Yeah. But he looked mad. That has always been online's post-pandemic struggle. It's a fact that it's hard to get people to care. And Coinbox kind of managed to bypass that because not only was it HBox's personality drawing in a lot of viewers, but also the insane prize pot that went to it bi-weekly. It was
good
literally
pricing.
Cody's paycheck.
Good pricing.
And also it benefited from the fact that it was kind of like the only one around the block. There wasn't really any other online tournaments. So aside from Only Noobs, of course. That's what it benefited a lot, was not for the fact that it mattered, because frankly, kind of everybody kind of knew that didn't really matter per se. But it's like amazing content at the end of the day. And you can't tell me that despite all of online flaws, that it still displayed like a lot of skill. Aside from like cross-country connections, it's still like, okay, this still represents like LAN Melee, like 99.9% of skill translation.
Like most sets, especially if you entered, especially if it was region locked, most sets were like pretty legit. And there are definitely like players that, to my knowledge, have, besides like the absolute top level, which is one thing, like Mango and Sand and all that, there are definitely also other players that I felt like I was always kind of bummed out by the fact that I feel like they never got the recognition that they clearly deserve, or like at least like from an official standpoint. So I'm thinking players like, for example, like Daki. Like Daki, I remember Daki was just, I don't know what happened to him, but he was like, I don't think he ever got ranked. But like during the pandemic, I mean, I remember he was just beating Joey like every other week.
Yeah, he was like a top 50 player.
He was easily a top 50 player.
Top 30, probably.
Probably. Like his resume was like, I don't know, he beat like Lucky a couple times, Fat Goku Meds, Aura a bunch, Bobby Big Balls. I think he beat Slug. I think he beat Aklo. Like, I think there are a bunch of players where their online results were such that, you know, and you could watch, because like you said, you can kind of tell if you go to their stream and like watch them play, you can kind of see what it looks like. You can kind of tell if it's a legit set or not. And there were people where I was definitely like, man, this person's like, this guy's really good. And like, if they just keep going to events once offline starts up again, they're going to shoot up in the rankings. And for some of those people, they just didn't, or even like, honestly, even like Eddie Mexico, because Eddie had obviously Eddie's, I think he had a huge level up from online. Like he literally beat Mango at Smash Factor, which is insane. Mango's never lost to Luigi in his life. So that's awesome. But like, that happened. That was a tournament in Mexico. Like, imagine Smash Factor wasn't a thing. Like, Eddie Mexico, he had this ridiculous resume during COVID because he could enter all the online events. And, you know, obviously it's hard for him to travel internationally to like all of our American tournaments all the time. But like, you know, he was like a monster during COVID because of the situation. And now I feel like, you know, since online events aren't nearly as much of a thing, I feel like we just don't see Eddie around as much anymore, which is kind of, it's kind of a bummer. Like, there's like players that I don't know. I feel like
Eddie's always so nice too, where like after every single online event, he would go out of his way to tweet and at the TOs like, thank you so much, Kadoran, for running TNT number 98. And I'm like, thank you, Eddie.
Let's talk about your event. So obviously you announced it.
I was talking about like kind of like the importance of online.
Okay,
sure. Where it's like online struggles. It really struggled post-pandemic, where we really struggle to really sell on why online matters, right?
Right.
Regardless of like how we want to say it, like the numbers kind of spoke for itself. Like, you know, once IRL came back, online attendance started to suffer a lot more. The top players, like I mentioned, like Zayn and Mango, once they realized that they're not really getting credit for any of it, they're like, well, what's the point of it? What's in it for me?
Right.
So they all just stopped. Even amidst all the coin boxes, you know, it's not like Zayn and Mango are really strapped for cash or anything. So like they just didn't enter a single one.
Yeah.
Because they just know that it won't count for anything.
Right. Did Zayn never enter a coin box?
Not with his main, at least.
Not with his main. That makes sense.
Same thing with Mango. So it's like you have like the absolute tippity top that like refused to join because they knew that it wouldn't be counted, and they were correct about that. You have like kind of like the cross country issue where the flaws about Coinbox is that like, you know, I didn't enter very many of them because I had a miserable time getting mauled by Cody
Yeah.
And his online and dash dance shenanigans that gets really accentuated online and playing against Hacks Money. I hated that. I'm sure they hated it too. There's like all these issues that sort of add up. And despite that, I ran TMT anyways for several more editions because I knew it had its place. Despite it kind of not really working out on the tippity top level, it's great practice at the end of the day. You don't have to drive 3 hours in traffic to attend like a 10-man local,
right?
Rather than just entering an online bracket at the comfort of your home. And it's great practice, if not better practice. So
yeah, I think it's amazing practice. I also think it's really good. Frankly, it's really good stream content.
Yeah, and it's amazing content.
Yeah, like Melee viewership numbers are always way up when there's like online tournaments going on, like during Coinbox.
And despite the fact that it's like not really counting for anything, it's still fun stakes.
It's still fun stakes. You can talk shit,
Yeah, it's just a shame that it can't be used as stakes for rankings per se, but like, it's still something. So like, there's still all those positives. And the reason why I stopped running TMT at some point was because ranked mode came out and I was like, all right, this is like the TMT replacement. I'm kind of done here, right? So that's like the timeline when I stopped running TMT. And then ranked came out, everybody was enjoying it. I loved it. And then like shortly after, HBox came out with his Coinbox series and it popped off with all the funding and his personality added into the mix. So it seemed like online was fine.
Yeah.
They didn't need my help. And I was cool just like standing back, like, because like I'm only going to contribute when I feel like the game needs, frankly. And with Coinbox stepping out of the picture, with ranked mode kind of being a shell as it once was, like we don't really know the timeline of when ranked is going to get updated again. Like
official, because it's still paywalled.
Because there were supposed to be updates to it, I believe, to make it at least free with like some additional settings, but that hasn't really happened yet. So ranked mode at the moment is kind of down low right now, and Coinbox is gone. And that's what I thought. With all the flaws I listed, that it kind of doesn't really count for rankings, and with like the pressure that online Melee is starting to feel, like with Coinbox stepping out of the picture, I thought this was a great opportunity for me to step in with the co-donation charity monthly, where sure, online doesn't count, I get it, and cross-country Melee sucks, so how I'm going to mitigate that is one, I'm region locking it.
Right.
F that. Like I know as a competitor that even for the main bracket, it's just East Coast and West Coast.
Yeah,
no need for a cross-country Melee.
Yeah, I think that's totally fine.
Secondly, though, sure, this won't count for rankings, but you could donate the whatever money the stream raises towards a good cause. Like, there's so much issues to our world that, while we can't really directly do anything, we can at least, for instance, with Net Play with Palestine, where they raised like 17K. Yeah, 17K for the current world conflicts for Palestine. And that's amazing. And, if I could even raise anything remotely, like a quarter of that donations to what I will let the champion pick.
I don't think that's been done before. I don't know that there's ever been like, I feel like I've seen this outside of Smash, obviously, where, it's like such and such, we have this bet or we have this competition and the winner gets to pick the charity. But I feel like that's the first time I've seen this in Smash.
Yeah, I thought, because like, I think it's a little bit silly for me to kind of like just pick only one charity, and I might as well donate it towards like whatever the champion really cares about.
Right.
Maybe not all of them have like strong feelings towards one charity. So by default, the charity that I would donate it to is breast cancer charity donations.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's how we got into Evo. So like, I think it's a good callback to that.
Yeah, that's true.
To that.
My mom also had, breast cancer once. So that's an issue that hits close to home.
Yeah, and so that's just going to be the default no matter what. Like, no pressure if they don't like have anything.
Breast cancer is a great default. No one can say, you know what I mean? That's like a great default charity. Especially because of the history that Melee has with the Evo donation drive. That's a great point. Exactly.
Yeah, but if there's like one like reputable charity drive that they really want to donate towards, I will respect that decision. And, sure, this isn't going to count for rankings, but you're playing for a good cause, essentially.
Right.
At the end of the day, like when you win an online bracket, you maybe you get some money and that's great and all, but like, okay, you just won, I guess. Maybe you've improved. But, with my tournament monthly, you get to donate towards a great cause of what you care about. And I just thought that would be a dope idea to kind of mitigate the issues that I mentioned. Online is still like a core infrastructure of our Melee scene.
Right.
And we got to have something.
At least with regards to the way people practice now, it's still like a major, arguably it's the way people practice one-on-one.
That's like, it's literally like 95% of my practice.
It's very rare these days that I actually have people come over. Definitely excited to see kind of the meta that spirals out of top players picking, or like whoever the champion picking the charity of their choice. So yeah, hoping this gains a lot of traction. Again, it's so November 28th is the first one?
Yes, I want to run this as a monthly, where I want to run this in on Tuesday, where there's the old Coinbox dates,
that's
where
a good time
it's
slot.
bi-weekly. I want to run it on during a time where there's not that much like traffic in the Melee world. Because as far as I'm concerned, like, because I thought about running it next week, but it's like, you know, probably a lot of top players are tired from Arkham Melee. So I just want to run it in a flexible once a month kind of thing, where there's not a lot of traffic going on. People know why I'm running the tournament, and just give back to the Melee scene. You know, despite the reason, whatever stops us, we'll always rise back. You know, freaking cockroaches of the esports scene.
Yeah.
We'll always find a way. I'm just running this every month, and I hope you guys can enter and support.
Start.gg/KCM. That's pretty easy to remember. Yeah, everyone go register for this. Let me show the Start.gg off on my stream. It's right here.
Yeah.
Code Nation Charity Monthly #1. I'm really excited to see how this goes. Maybe I'll be commentating some of these. We'll, you know,
online's not dead, no matter what.
Yeah.
We'll find a way to run this.
That's right.
And it's a core part of our Melee scene, whether we like it or not. And I'd be damned to see like no online infrastructure, no online tourneys. It's like, you gotta get through me first.